Hi, I'm Dave Church. Welcome to this Statcast ahead of Exeter Chiefs versus Leicester. I've got three main stats for you today. First one is related to Exeter's form in the last quarter of games. The second one's related to Ollie Devoto. And the third and final section is about Exeter's remarkable home form over the last year or so. So, first place to start, let's talk about what Exeter Chiefs have done in the last couple of weeks. Now, last week we saw them record a famous victory against Munster with a late comeback. The week before, we saw them sneak a last-minute victory over in Toulon. Those two European games have been two of Exeter's greatest wins on that stage, I would say. Now, what's really brilliant about both of them is that performance in the last quarter. Over the course of those two games, the first three quarters of the game, so up to the hour mark, Exeter scored 23 points and conceded 42. So they're minus 90, they're 19 points down into the final quarter. Now that final quarter, they've actually won by a combined 28 points to 0. So although they set themselves up to be behind at the hour almost, but they know that last quarter they're stronger. They've been stronger, and actually that goes back a few weeks now with over the last 6 games. So going back to the Northampton Saints Premiership game a few weeks ago, in those 6 games, Exeter have scored 74 points out of their 139 points, just over half in that final quarter of games. That fitness really starts to tell at the end of games. It's the fitness, both physical fitness to be quick enough to exploit those gaps, but it's also the mental strength to anticipate and read things, like we saw Henry Slade's interception last week. So let's talk about Ollie Devoto. Ollie Devoto is making his first Premiership start at Sandy Park since New Year's Day, January 2022, so nearly 2 years ago. It's fantastic to see him back in the starting lineup. He's always been a popular player at Exeter Chiefs, and he's had such misfortune with injuries over the last few years. It's just great to see him starting again. Like I say, it's his first start for nearly 2 years in a home league game. He did start away at London Irish at the end of last season, and he was also started a couple of Premiership Cup games at Sandy Park this year. That last home start for him, though, was against Bristol. Like I say, it was on New Year's Day, so it was the Christmas fixture 2 years ago, effectively, and was attended by a record home crowd for Exeter Chiefs, 14,100, which was a sellout to the capacity at the time. It was just as the East Stand was being reopened, I think. Anyway, that so far so similar. But actually, the really incredible thing about that game is looking through the Exeter Chiefs starting lineup that day. He started next to Henry Slade at centre, so same as this weekend's game. However, only Alec Hepburn of the rest of that starting 15, as well as Slade and Devoto, is still at the club. And actually, if we expand that to the match day 23, there's only 7 of them still at the club. So that's Devoto, Slade, Hepburn, who started, Yendall, Asefa Scott, Harvey Skinner, and Sam Maunder, who are still at the club. So just shows, of that starting 23, which is a pretty much full strength Exeter side, only 7 of them are still with us. Just shows how much disruption Rob Baxter and his team have managed to deal with and still create this wonderful side we've seen. Now, the final stat, let's talk about Exeter's home form. Now, as you may know, they've been unbeaten since October 2022. So that's about 14 months, 61 weeks, in fact. 22 games, of which they've only drawn one of those games, they've won the rest. And even that draw against Montpellier still took them through in the knockout rounds of the European Cup last year. So that home record has been absolutely fantastic by any standards. It's their longest home record since promotion, unbeaten home record since promotion. In terms of time, it's the longest as well now. But the brilliant stat I have for you today is actually the number of points they've scored in the calendar year at Sandy Park. So as it stands, before the Leicester game, Exeter Chiefs have scored 633 points in 17 games at Sandy Park this year. Now, their previous best year since promotion in 2010, they scored 644 points in 2021. That was in 21 games. So actually, this year's average of nearly 38 points per game is going to be substantially higher and is so far a record. In fact, actually, although they might need 12 points for the record outright, I think if they score this weekend, they'll have the highest average points that they've ever recorded in a calendar year at Sandy Park. That home form has been absolutely remarkable, and they fully deserve the sellout crowd that they're going to get tomorrow. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, if you could hit subscribe, hit share, do all those things you're supposed to do with content that proper content providers would tell you to do that. Leave me feedback below, comments. The more you do of that, it will help me get this out there, but also it will remind me that people are actually watching this rather than just switching off as soon as they see my ugly mug at the start of the vid. So thanks very much. I'll see you again soon. Bye.